So I'm making a game. It's called Hexbound, and it's a cozy, satisfying puzzle game where you place wooden hexagonal pieces onto a board inside a warm little living room. No stress, no timers, just the satisfying click of puzzle pieces snapping into place. Well, that's what it's like for players. For me, making this game, let's just say things didn't always snap into place. The physics engine had other ideas, the grid system made me question my life choices, and let's not even talk about the snapping issues. But hey, in the end, it all worked out. But let's start from the beginning. A while ago, after releasing 2 mobile games, I wanted to step into the PC market. My first ever commercial game, called Sudoku Worlds, was an over-featured Sudoku game, because apparently I thought Sudoku needed more mechanics and features. The second was Block Worlds, a block placement game where I somehow spent more time tweaking colours and textures than actually finishing the game. Both ended up over-designed, with feature creep always delaying the release. But not this time. This time, I wanted to keep it simple. A small, focused game that wouldn't spiral out of control. But I wasn't about to throw myself into a 2-year-long failure, as it happens with first games, so I wanted something small and doable. And then, one day, I found the answer. In my 4-year-old daughter's room, there was a wooden hexagon puzzle board. One of those toys where you have to make sure all the shapes fit. And I thought, this is it. I'm going to make a 3D version of this. Simple. So I took the board, opened Blender, and started modelling it. Simple enough, right? Just a bunch of hexagons. Except, as I quickly learned, hexagons are not actually symmetrical in the way my brain assumed. Turns out they have this weird relationship with the square root of 3, which I did not sign up for. I quickly realised that hexagons don't align as neatly as I expected, but instead require some specific ratios of distance. Eventually, I figured it out, got everything aligned properly, and finally tried to carve the shape into a cube to get the nice interior. Anyway, I fixed that and moved on to Unity to start blocking out a 3D version of the game and some basic environment. And at some point in all of this, I completely forgot to give the toy back. The first version of the game was simple. A wooden table. A wooden board. Some hexagonal pieces. The ability to pick them up and snap them into place.
One eternity later.
I also knew from the start that I didn't want this to be just a floating puzzle board. I wanted it to feel cozy. So I put it in a living room setting, added a wooden table, and started experimenting with lighting. The goal was to make it feel like something you'd actually sit down and play in real life. Then came the puzzles themselves. I didn't just want random hexagon boards, I wanted some variety. So I started looking up animal shapes that could work in a hexagonal format. Some turned out great, others looked like unlicensed Pokemon evolutions. So you'd think that since the game is literally about placing hexagons on a board, the grid would just be part of the board. Right? Yeah. No. Turns out the grid is completely separate from the 3D board because I needed something dynamic, something that would work for any type of board layout. Sounds reasonable, right? Well, let's just say my brain didn't quite agree. Manually aligning the hex grid and shaping it out manually in a tool I made, just to stay sane. Placing hex cells one by one wasn't exactly a dream workflow, so I built a simple editor tool where I could click to enable or disable them in a grid. So yeah, a bit of tedious work to have this workflow going, but at least now I can make any board shape I want. Now I could finally focus on making the game actually feel good. There are 3 main types of puzzles. Standard boards, simple to big layouts to ease players into the gameplay, but also to respect the traditional game of this type. Animal-shaped puzzles. Hexagons aren't the most obvious choice for making animals, but somehow it works. Some look instantly recognisable, while others, let's just say they have personality. Either way, it keeps things interesting. Illustrated puzzles featuring artwork from Anda Anshin, because I wanted from the start to play with the idea of solving actual puzzles, but with hexagon pieces. The whole game has a handcrafted wooden feel, like something you'd actually have on your coffee table. The board? Wood. The table? Wood. The UI? Okay, not wood, but you get the idea. Lighting? Soft and warm, like golden hour sunlight. I also wanted a small narrative in the game. Nothing too intense, just something subtle and cozy. Throughout the game you receive letters from an old friend. These add a bit of personality to the experience, and in the future, he may introduce new mechanics and challenges. For now, they're just a nice extra layer to the world. Right now, I'm prepping for the demo, which means finalising puzzles, tweaking snapping mechanics, trying not to break the game, 10 minutes before release. It's almost there and I'm excited to finally let people try it. Once the demo is out next week, I'll be gathering feedback and tweaking things before the full release. If you like cozy puzzle games, you can wishlist the game on Steam. Seriously, it helps a lot. Try the demo when it's out and tell a friend that hexagons are the superior shape. That's about it. If you made it this far, thanks for hanging out and listening to me ramble about hexagons. See you in the next one.